Hi guys, it's Becky, and I am going to be working on project number 6 for my beaded chain challenge for the month of September. I am doing 2 beaded chain necklaces each week for the entire month. And I had planned for this week's, the second project for this week, to be using a past box that didn't get enough love. One of the things that I maybe didn't make anything out of or only made one thing. And I'm still going to do that, but instead of that, I wanted to dive into this Customer Appreciation Week box. This is a kit that Softflex company put together for Customer Appreciation Week, which is happening this week. Over on the Softflex channel, there's a whole bunch of presentations, classes being done by people like Danielle Wicks is today. Jill Wiseman is doing one today. We're going to have some with Sam Siegel from Sam Speedbox is doing one tomorrow. Neelay is doing from Silver Silk and More is doing a presentation tomorrow. We've already had some from Cassandra Spicer, some from Abby Berta, from Beads to Live By and the Bead Place, and just lots of different presenters. They've put together kits from their sites that you could purchase, but then we've also got some projects that you can use this kit from. Now this kit itself is sold out on the Softflex site, but I think they had extras of some of the things like this chain that has been dyed by the folks over at Jesse James Beads to create this ombre effect. So you get these dark purples all the way up to this like periwinkle blue color. And it's gorgeous. I think they might still have some of that available. There's also an entire package of tassels, like so many tassels, y'all. And I think they had some extras of those too. Like there's just all of these tassels in one little package. It was a lot of fun to open up the tassels and just be like, tassels, so many tassels. But yeah, I'm probably going to be doing some earrings with this weekend. If you want to watch me do a bunch of earrings with this kit, because we got tassels, we've got charms, we've got little fairy wings. Now the fairy wings and some of these bead caps and some of these purple beads and these turquoisey beads. Those came in the bead mix, which I'm pretty sure they might still have some again on their website. I'll link to the section where they might have those. They had some strands that came with that, and included in the strands were these, I don't know what they're actually called. They look like little crushed cans to me. These guys, there were these small 4mm blue drucks that are like a nice cobalt blue. I think these are they're probably 6 or 7mm fire polish beads that came with them, and these gorgeous check glass flowers with this beautiful blue finish on them. I love that so much. So I mean, it was a big deal getting this and getting it open, and they're making stuff with that all this week, so I wanted to make with it too. And I thought, what better time to do this than to do my little idea that I had to do a beaded chain necklace using links made out of beading wire. I'm also going to be adding some links that I made with craft wire, so we're gonna alternate these. And I didn't link them together when I was making them because I'm just going to use some jump rings to connect them all together on that. But I wanted to show you how I made that link, and also just do a refresher for you on doing these wire wrapped links with the 22 gauge wire. So as I said, the kit came with 2 different spools of beading wire. I'm opting to use the purple amethyst that came with it. There's also this turquoise color beading wire, which is gorgeous, and I love using it in other things too. And then it came with this 22 gauge blue craft wire that matches my fingernails. And that's what we're going to use for the wrapped links. In the kit, there was a little fairy charm, and I'm going to grab one of these gorgeous blue check flowers, and that's going to be our focal for this, the main pendenty part of the necklace. For my tools, I am going to be using some of my, these are tweezer nose pliers. You can use chain nose pliers, bent or straight, shouldn't really matter. I'm going to be cutting both my craft wire and my beading wire using some flush cutters. I'm going to be forming the loops on my wire wrapped links using the smallest round on my 6-step bail making pliers. You can also use round nose pliers if you want. You don't have to use this. I just like using these for my wire wrapped loops because I can get a more consistent loop size when I do that. And then I'm also going to be using for my links some 2x2mm crimp tubes. And these are Softflex crimp tubes that came with the kit. And to crimp them, I'm using the magical crimpers. You can use a regular crimp for these to make this kind of link. It's just not going to have the rounded edges that you get with the magical crimpers, but otherwise it will still be as effective. So let me get these guys scooched a little bit out of the way. Let's get in a little bit closer so we can see how we're making these. Let's make our wire wrapped loop first, because it's generally a little bit of the easier side. Now I've straightened this with my fingers. You can use a, if you've got nylon jaw pliers to straighten it, you can do that too. It just is better to start with straight. And when I'm working off the spool like this, I usually will pre-string my bead. But you can just cut off about 4 inches of wire if you want to use it that way. About 2 inches down from the end, I'm going to give it a little bend. And then I'm going to place my round pliers, in this case my 6-step bail making pliers, over the top of it. And just bend the wire over the top like that to make a little loop. I'm rotating this, I'm opening it to rotate it, and I'm bending it all the way around. And that makes a little curly Q. Now, if you were going to be connecting your wire wrapped links with these without using a jump ring, at this point, you'd slide on the bit that you were going to be connecting and begin the wrapping. But since I'm going to be using jump rings, I'm not going to do that step. Feel free if you would like to. And basically I'm just gonna give it about 3 wraps around the top. And then cut off some of this excess. Right. Again, when I've got it pre-strung on here, I'll push the bead up and then measure about 2 inches. I'm eyeballing this from the top of the bead to cut off my extra. And then on here, I want to leave some room for a wrap, so I'm going to grasp my wire right next to the bead and bend over the top of it so that I have this space for wrapping. And we'll do the same thing as we did with the other. We'll place the part of the round nose pliers that I'm using over the top, bend it over the top, open it, and rotate it. And then hold on while we just push the end of this wire around. And this one's a little bit messier than my other ones because I'm doing it on camera and it's farther away from my face. I'm just making up excuses right now. Don't mind me. That's fine. My other wire wrapped loops look way better. Anyway, so that is how we make that link. And I have made 9 of those, 8 for the necklace and 1 to attach the dangle with my fairy princess over there. And I have 7 of these already pre-made for these links. And I'm going to make one more for a total of 8 for this necklace. And for that, I'm going to need 4 of these beads, 4 of these blue beads, and 2 of these other beads. You can do this with 6 other beads. It doesn't necessarily have to be with these ones. It should still work just fine. And I'm going to need 2 crimp tubes per link. And like with the other, I do like to work off the spool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to string on one of these crimp tubes, one of these blue drugs. I forget the name of this type of bead, the soda can bead. It's got a nice little curve to it, so it sits really nicely next to round beads on a strand. And another one of these beads. And the second crimp tube. And I'm not crimping anything yet. So we have on our little strand of beading wire. And if you cut this off, I would cut about 5 inches, 4.5 to 5 inches, if you cut it off in order to make it. And I would definitely use a clamp, like a bead stopper like this on the other end, so it doesn't, the beads don't slide off while you're messing around on this end, because you are going to be manipulating the wire on this end and just kind of ignoring these for a little bit. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to make our bottom loop. So to do that, I'm going to make a circle with this wire. You can bend it around your finger, you can just circle it around, but I'm going to put it through my crimp tube. See, the wire direction is going through this way. I'm circling around and putting it through the tube in the same direction. I'm going to want to pull quite a bit of it, about 3.5 inches out that way. It doesn't have to be that much, but I'm comparing this loop size with that one. And you can adjust this before you crimp. Like, this is why we're not crimping yet. So this is going to be my first loop. Now, I have half of my link done. I have beads on that one. I have one loop. I need to add some beads and make a second loop. So I'm going to add my blue round one. I'm going to add my little crushed soda can. And my round bead. Now I've got the second half done. What I need now is for this to make a circle, and then for me to make another circle on the other side. So with this, I've got my crimp tube. If I bring this other one, the one that's attached to my spool, if I bring it here and hold it in front of me, then I've got this one going from left to right. I want this strand to go from right to left so they crisscross. Like that. And now the same thing that I did here with this one, to make a loop, I'm going to use my shorter length. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to curve it around so it makes a circle. Shove it through here. These crimp tubes can accommodate like 4 strands at a time, although that's a little bit tough to get them in, but 3 strands is no problem. I am just going to compare with this link to see if I need to tighten up or loosen up any bits, because I'd like them to be, you know, about the same size on that. And I still have this end connected to the spool because I'm going to crimp it and then cut it. And that should reduce some of the wastage for my beading, although I do tend to keep cuts of the Softflex wire because you can use them in things like if you're doing an illusion necklace or something and you need to just stick some extra wire into your crimp in order for it to grab onto the piece of wire that you're currently stringing onto for your illusion necklace. It's useful to have little bits like that because you can still use them for other things. So I think this is ready for crimping. I'm going to start, I can start with either one, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna start with this one. And one thing when you're making your loops, you can make them any size that you like as long as you can still get your crimping plier into these loops, and especially with the magical crimper because you have to rotate it around. So you can take it from this ravioli that has these sharp edges to a nice rounded ball. You want to be able to maneuver this guy around your crimp. That's just something to keep in mind when you are determining what size you want your loop to be. So see, it's got the rounded edges. If you use a regular crimper, your crimps just won't have the rounded edges, but that's fine. It'll still be a beaded link made out of beading wire. All right, so let's go for this one too. Get my sharp edges. Let's round those out. Like, these crimpers will like hide a host of sins with your crimping. All right. Now, I'm just going to cut real close to the crimp, but I'm only going to cut my excess wire, not all of these. So with that, there's only one extra wire. If you cut it off before you do this, you might have 2 extra wires that you have left over. All right, so let's zoom out. And now I've got my necklace. Let's lay it out. All right. I'm going to be alternating these. All the way out. All right. So now we just put this sucker together. Oh, you know what? I gotta attach my fairy. So I'm just gonna make another wrapped loop link with this as my bead. And I'm going to make sure I attach the fairy to one of my loops and this to the other loop. And that'll make my focal. So again, I'm using the 22 gauge craft wire that came in the kit. I'm going to make my little bend about 2 inches away. Fold over my loop. And before I start wrapping it, let's open that up a little bit. I am going to attach my fairy. I think this is a tiara cast fairy. Now I'm going to close it up again. And do a couple of wraps. And I forgot to put my bead on, but that's okay, because I can just guesstimate how much to cut. It's about the size of the bead and then about 2 inches, so let's just cut there. That should go. That should go. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and slide this beautiful fella on. And I am going to make another wire wrapped loop up the top. And this one I am going to attach directly to this link so that they are all part of the same bit. So you go around. You can adjust your guy if you need to. And I'm going to start wrapping. There you go. That's a decent wrap. This is the fairy mushroom kit, by the way. And they do have, or they did the last time I checked, have some extra bead mixes, the tassel kit, and the chain on the Softflex site. Let's grab some links. I think I'm gonna go with 5mm jump rings for this one. And is there a, ooh, lobster clasp. I need a lobster clasp. Do a lobster clasp up there. And a 6mm jump ring for closure. There we go. All right. Now the rest of this is just going to be opening and closing jump rings and putting this together. I am going to start at my Y bend here. You just twist it open like that. And I'm going to connect one of my beaded links, my focal, and then a second one of my beaded links, and close it up. Let me see how this hangs. Yeah, I'm okay with the way that hangs. All right. Yeah, and I'm choosing the silver for this because even though I used this colored wire for my links, I've got these silver accents here in this link, and I just want to carry that silver up through the rest of the necklace. So I've got these little pops of silver between each of my links. Yeah, I'm gonna make some earrings this weekend. There might even be 2 earring videos this weekend because the Jesse James Beads Magical Mystery Bead Box, it is calling to me, and there are so many beads in there that would make fantastic earrings. So I think we're going to do an earrings blitz with those, and probably some earrings with all of those tassels that came in there. And you know what? It's because it's curated by Jesse James Beads for like the bead mix and the tassels that it makes it so great for earrings. I love that partnership that Softflex has with Jesse James Beads. because it just makes so much fun to work with. And I am loving these links. So glad I came up with this. Guess it doesn't really matter what order I put these on. Doesn't. I did not open this wide enough. So let's give that a shot. There we go. That's better. I'm almost done with one side of my necklace. I suppose I could have just turned off the camera and finished doing this, but you know, sometimes it's fun to keep things in real time. I already made most of my links off camera to save some time for y'all. All right, last link on this side. And now let's get our clasp attached. Fairy rings. You guys heard of fairy rings? I don't know all the lore about fairy rings. I feel like I did not come prepared to talk about fairies for this demo, but I'll dig up some lore and we can talk about it when we do our earring video over the weekend. If you guys have any cool fairy lore that you know, let me know in the comments because I love learning new things. And I love it when you guys leave me comments and interact with me. It's one of my favorite things about this channel is getting to know so many good friends now. All right, we are very close to done. Yeah, see how we've got these little pops of silver? I like the way that that looks. And we want silver, not iron, because fairies hate iron, right? Fairy lore. Oh yeah, there was another thing that they had some extras of that they put up on their site, and one is these mushroom charms that came in the kit. They are tiara cast, and they're from the tiara cast like back stock, like things that they made a while ago, and then they asked them to make them for this kit. And I think they still have some of these, and they put them up for individual sale on their site. Which, you know, we're going to use in our earrings that we do this weekend. All right, one more link, And then I can attach my loop on the other end. I can use this one instead. So we are past the halfway mark for the month. Well, okay, maybe not totally past it. Tomorrow will be the halfway mark for the month. And I think I'm doing pretty good on my little challenge. Making myself some beaded chain necklaces. And they don't all have to be like new and innovative and something completely different. They can just be regular old chains, you know? Nothing wrong with it. Their classics are classic for a reason. And this is not closed all the way. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's scooch in a little bit more. It's not closed all the way, so I'm going to close this up much better so it does not come apart on me. That's a much better closure. All right. Now I've got my fairy mushroom beaded link necklace. There's no mushroom, but we can pretend that there is. With my little fairy rings made with beading wire instead of with craft wire. All right. So there we go. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I hope you guys are having a great time doing the challenge with me. Whether you're just watching me or if you are participating too, I'm just happy that you guys are along for the ride. And thanks for hanging out with me today. Bye.